A businesswoman, brilliant visionary, and innovator, the life of Coco Chanel is one that transcends time. From her timeless designs to her trademark suits, Coco Chanel set out to become one of the greatest Parisian haute couture designers for the next 6 decades. Although she transformed into the pinnacle of elegance and sophistication, Chanel didn't always have the riches of a privileged upbringing. Chanel was conceived in the countryside of Saumur, France in 1883, brought into the ruins of poverty by her parent Jean de Volay and Henry Abbot Chanel. Her early childhood proved to be filled with many challenges. After her mother died at age 12, her father felt it was best to send her to an orphanage named the Sacred Heart in Aubusine, where shortly after he vanished. The sisters of the orphanage raised Chanel. Cooking, reading, and more importantly, sewing, Chanel learned many skills. One that she did not know at the time would change the world. Still alone, afraid, and stricken with grief, Chanel knew that she had to make it in the large world on her own. The day she turned 18, she began working as a seamstress while also having a gig singing in a cafe for troops of cavalry men. After a while, it was rumored she got the nickname Coco as a result of singing "Who Has Seen Coco" quite often. Being in this environment of these men of great stature, she eventually met her soon secret lover, Etienne Bazin, who would make her a true example of the classic rags to riches story. Being around Bazin came wealthy elites and people of higher status that she connected and developed relationships with. Chanel was always the type of woman to capitalize off opportunities. She didn't let anything get in the way of what she wanted to accomplish, even if it meant leaving a relationship. In 1913, Chanel became acquainted with a man named Arthur Capel, who provided her with the financial support to open up her very own boutique in the heart of Duval, selling hats and a limited line of garments. At the time, women were only accustomed to wearing heavy and layered garments, so her innovative use of the light fabric jersey became a huge success among the people of Duval and brought on a dedicated pool of clientele. By 1919, Chanel was able to accomplish every fashion designer's dream. She opened up her first boutique in Paris on 31 Rue Cambon, the fashion hub of the country at the time. Chanel had everything she could possibly want at this point: successful and thriving stores, an amazing circle of friends, and her designs being recognized by everyone across Europe. The 1920s were a significant period in time where women felt more free than ever. Up until then, women were expected to follow the lead of their men. Not only were they finally granted with a voice to do things, such as the right to vote and working professional jobs, Chanel also gave them a voice through statement garments that she created. One of them being the classic collarless cardigan. Soft and comfortable and not overly structured, this piece proved to be a timeless staple that every woman must have in their closet. She commonly used tweed and a line of other sophisticated fabrics. Coupled with signature buttons, defined trims, pockets, and precise lining, Chanel created a cardigan that could not be replicated. Another special design of hers is a little black dress. Before me, no one would have dared to dress in black. A black so deep, so noble that once seen, it stays in the memory forever, Chanel declared. Upon the recovery of World War I, Chanel thought it was unfair that every woman, regardless of status, couldn't feel beautiful and confident in what they wore. She decided it was her duty to make affordable fashion for everyone, and the little black dress was born. It hugged the curves and lines of the body and created a simple yet classy look for your modern woman. Suzanne Orlandi is said to be one of the first women pictured in Chanel's first black dress design. By 1926, a sketch of the dress made its debut in American Vogue in October. It featured long sleeves, delicate pleats in a V shape of the blouse and skirts, accompanied with pearls and a cloche hat. Cloned the term the Ford dress, it became widely accepted and sought after by American women. Over time, the dress evolved, adding suit jackets and coat linings. Chanel was highlighted for reinventing her work and creating new and fresh pieces. Some of her other wide-renowned designs were the classic flat bag, the slingback shoes, and the quilted ballet flats. Although Chanel dominated the industry of women's wear, her blend of creativeness and genius within her mind didn't let her stop there. While vacationing in South France, Chanel met a perfumer by the name Ernest Beau. She began working with him in order to create the perfect fragrance with selective key notes that would, according to Chanel, smell like a woman, not like a rose. After accidentally creating the perfect concoction of ingredients of jasmine and musk, as well as flowers, Beau presented the samples of perfume to Chanel, and she fell in love with it. It is said that she loved the soapy scent because it reminded her of her mother's laundry. or because she picked the sample because she had a long life obsession with the number 5. Either way, the fragrance Chanel No. 5 would debut on the 5th day of the 5th month of 1921. The perfume was a hit. It demonstrated the paradox between women being able to be sensual while also retaining their purity, that the two can both exist in harmony and have a long-lasting aroma. The reign of Coco Chanel carried on for another decade until they halted at the peak of World War II in 1939. She closed down all her franchises, noting that it was no longer a time for fashion. Thousands of employees were now out of work and no longer had the means to support themselves and loved ones. It was rumored that this decision was partly done out of spite after workers contested about poor working conditions and low wages. Nonetheless, Chanel decided that she would be of aid in any way that she could, and later met a German officer, Hans Gunther von Dicklich. They would soon become romantic lovers, and it is believed that Chanel worked undercover as a spy for General Walter Schellenberg, who was the chief of SS intelligence. In September of 1944, she was interrogated by the Free French Purge Committee because of their suspicion in her involvement, but was released due to lack of evidence. Soon after the war, she migrated to Switzerland, where she remained up until 1954. The emergence of new male designers were coming out and creating a way for themselves, such as Christian Dior. Threatened by this new competition, Chanel made her way back to Paris to reopen up her couture house and launch a post-war label. While the collection made great waves upon the Americans and British, the French still held a grudge for her suspected dealings with the Germans. Coco Chanel was a perfectionist to the very end. At 87 years old, she was working on her new collection to debut. However, suddenly, she tragically passed from an unexpected heart attack in her suite at the Ritz in Paris. News of this flooded the fashion house with shock, grief, and sorrow. Thousands of people gathered at the funeral on January 13, 1971, to remember the trailblazer. As of today, Chanel is a billion-dollar company where her designs from decades ago are still seen amongst women. This notable brand is still dominating the industry of fashion and doesn't have plans to relinquish its title anytime soon. The life of Coco Chanel is surely one to be told. From her humble beginnings to creating an unforgettable luxury brand, Coco Chanel has undoubtedly gone down in history as an iconic figure in fashion.